My smart house is behind me with over 100 HomeKit devices. I use Apple HomeKit only, but in this video, I've had a lot of these devices for over a year, some 2 years. So I want to give long-term 5-star ratings for most of my devices, some of the best, some of the worst. And yes, one device gets 1 out of 5 stars. We'll get to that in a second. All right, I'm gonna start in the living room here. The SmartWings Shades, which I've had for about a year, they're thread enabled, been super reliable. I've charged them about once since I've gotten them, so pretty good. You're gonna get about 6 to 8 months usage out of them. But I would give these shades like a 4.5 out of 5. I like the look of them. They might not have as many options as other shades, but they're affordable. With thread, their connectivity is super solid and the battery life has been great. Now I have a bunch of different light switches here in the main living room. Here is a Meross and one Leviton. Now, neither of these are great because they're not thread. They're both just Wi-Fi. The Meross one though is pretty affordable and has been more reliable than the Leviton. So I would give the Meross one probably a 3.5 out of 5. Leviton ones, these I have to constantly reset, especially if there's a power outage or just loses connectivity. I'm gonna give these switches like 2 out of 5. I would recommend other switches, which I'll get to in a second. But speaking of Meross, I actually have a Meross smart plug over here. I believe it's Wi-Fi only, it's not thread. It's actually connected to my coffee bean grinder, and I actually have a shortcut that turns off the coffee bean grinder after 2 minutes so it never overflows. It's been super solid, never have to reset this thing, so I would say Meross smart plug, I'll give it a solid 3.5 out of 5. Here in the pantry and a couple other places, I have the Philips Hue Motion Sensor. It does require a hub. It doesn't have thread or anything, and it requires Philips hub, which is proprietary, but it is super solid and one of the fastest responding motion sensors. I have to give this thing 4 out of 5. This guy you probably already know, it's the Ecobee thermostat, not even the newest one. It's not the premium one with the metal ring around it. This is one version older, but it is still rock solid. No thread, but the connectivity over Wi-Fi is super solid, works seamlessly with HomeKit, and if you want to get the Ecobee doorbell camera, that video feed can actually show on Ecobee thermostats. But I've used Ecobee for years and years now. It's excellent. I wish it had thread, but even with that, 4.5 out of 5 star. Excellent thermostat. And underneath that, we actually have these Lutron switches. Now, I'm a big Lutron proponent. I did a whole video on them. I'll link it down below. But these are the older style switches. And so I'm going to reserve the newer Lutrons for a little bit higher rating, but they're rock solid. This is ceiling fan and dimmer control. I give these 4 out of 5 stars. Now I have a bunch of stuff here in the studio, so I won't go piece by piece, but I do want to mention some smart plugs. I have an Eve smart plug powering this key light behind me. That one does have thread. It's the Eve Energy. It's a little pricey for a smart plug, but is rock solid. If you're going to get a smart plug and you never want to think about reliability, get the Eve Energy. So I give the Eve Energy 5 out of 5 stars. It is excellent. I have some other smart plugs in here, like from the Wemo brand. Those also have thread, but are not as reliable. One of my other smart plugs is powering this Elgato key light here. It's just easier to have a smart plug to turn it on or off. This is the Wemo one. I had to reset it just this morning, and that happens periodically. It's pretty solid. You know, it's only happening 4 or 5 times a year, but it's still not as good as the Eve Energy. So I give the Wemo smart plug a 3 out of 5. Now I have a bunch of like smart lighting here from Hue. I have the Eve Flare. Eve Flare is pretty good. I have one outside and the connectivity can be a little spotty. The new one does have thread, so it's better. I give that one about a 3.5 out of 5. And then all of the Hue lights, you do need the Hue hub for all these things, like the Hue Bloom and this gradient strip here, but they're all super solid because it's Hue and it has that proprietary hub. I give all of that a 4 out of 5 stars. I never really have to mess with it and it doesn't disconnect. That includes this Hue sign lamp. I love this thing. It illuminates the entire back wall behind me and changes colors when I'm filming videos. That's how you see those different colors, like in the thumbnails and videos. Love this thing. Super solid, again, because it's Philips Hue. Requires a hub, but still 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really like this thing. I also have the Eve blackout shades here in the studio. Those are thread, motorized. I've had these since we moved in, so almost 2 years. Never disconnected. I think I've only charged it once in the last 2 years, so battery life is excellent. I use it every day, and there's lots of styles and colors to choose from. The blackout does really well. Eve motion blinds, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. And just a side note, this is the Eve capacitive light switch. It's not a dimmer, it's just a single switch. You can touch anywhere on the panel to turn the light on or off, which is kind of cool, but after having it for a while, I definitely prefer a switch, like Lutron, Meross, anything with a physical switch. I have had to reset this thing once or twice too. It has thread, but it's okay. I give it a 3 out of 5. If you follow the channel a while, you know I love my robot vacuums and mops. Been testing the Narwal, that was one of the latest videos. I give that thing a 4.5 out of 5, does really well. And the Ecovacs Dbot T20 is my second favorite. Does pretty well, gets stuck on more things. I'll give that one about a 3 out of 5 stars. Here in the family room, I still have the Philips Hue gradient strip around the back of the TV and 2 Philips Hue plays down here, giving some light. That's using the Philips Hue sync box. It's been working really well with shortcuts actually in the last few months, and it's just a fun movie watching experience. The Philips Hue TV sync box and gradient strips, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. Pretty solid, hasn't been updated in a while. I think there were some rumors about a new sync box, but nothing just yet. But it works with shortcuts, so that makes me happy. All right, now comes this guy. This is the Leviton scene controller. It actually controls the light here in the closet, and then it has multiple scenes that I can program with the top 3 buttons. It's pretty cool in theory. It does disconnect sometimes, like my other Leviton switches, which we'll get into that in a second. Scene controller, it's cool, so I give it like 3 out of 5, but again, you're gonna see no response occasionally. One of my favorite devices is this Eve light strip behind the headboard of the bed. It's great for ambiance lighting at night, really love it. It doesn't have thread, it works just off Wi-Fi, and you can see there's not a great solution for this. This does disconnect occasionally, especially if there's a power outage or if there's like a software update for the HomePods and stuff. It's still cool. I wish there was a thread version or just an updated version from Eve, but I give this thing 3.5 out of 5 stars. If you've been on the channel, you know I recently reviewed all the HomeKey supported smart locks. This is the Yale Assure 2, and of all the ones I tested, while the level lock might look a little nicer and the Schlage is more responsive because it has thread, this one, because it's affordable, doesn't even have a keyhole, it does everything that I like and it's been solid. Also battery life, which is going to be a key element because I have one other device I'm going to give 1 star pretty soon. I really love the Yale lock. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. I wish it had thread. Some people might want a keyhole, but for me, it's one of the most affordable locks, uses HomeKey, and has been pretty reliable. All right, we got some fun stuff out here. I'll just go real quick. The Eve Motion, a little expensive, but is pretty solid. I'm gonna give that one 3.5 out of 5 stars. Netatmo weather has not been great. Disconnects a lot. I actually removed it from my home because just the connection just was not good. So Netatmo weather, I'm gonna give 2 out of 5. Sonos stuff is all great. I'm not gonna go through all the Sonos speakers, but I got videos on those if you wanna see them. And this Topo 2K pan and tilt camera has been great. Uses HomeKit Secure Video. It's 2K, which is not accessible in HomeKit, which is not Tapo's fault. That's something hopefully HomeKit updates, maybe in iOS 18 at WWDC later this year. But it's been really reliable. Love it. I give that one 3.5 out of 5 stars. Wish I had thread and some other options in HomeKit, but it's hindered by what Apple provides in HomeKit Secure Video. I also have a number of contact sensors around the house. This is the Aqara G2H sensor, I believe it is. I'll put links down in the video description. But this thing is super solid, uses Matter over Thread. You actually don't even need the Aqara app, and has been super solid. I programmed that with push cuts to let me know if a door's been left open, like this mini fridge. Again, has pretty much everything I want, and they're pretty affordable. I'm gonna give that one, I was gonna give it 5, but it is kind of big. As you can see, it's one of the larger contact sensors like that, but I'm gonna give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. One of the devices I have outside is the Eve Aqua. It's behind all that stuff. I'll put some B-roll so you can see what it looks like. Has thread, super solid, works with the pool hose, and you can set it to shut off after a certain amount of time. And no leaking, which is a lot improved over the first version of the Eve Aqua. So if you have one of those older versions, highly recommend the second one. I'm gonna give that one 5 out of 5 stars. And these you already know. These are the Lutron Diva and Claro switches. They're newer style that just look like normal switches. Because they're Lutron, they're super reliable. It does require a hub, but these are worth it. I never have connectivity issues with these Lutron switches, and the newer style, they just look like normal switches, which is great. 5 out of 5 for light switches. These are the ones you want to get if you're getting HomeKit enabled light switches. Real quick, I'll talk about some buttons. The Aqara mini switch, super reliable, does require the hub, but they've been some of the best. For the Aqara mini switch, 3.5 out of 5 stars. The Flick switch has one of the more expensive hubs, but these Flick buttons are pretty reliable. I have a bunch of these too. 4 out of 5 for the Flick button. Now, one of the more popular remotes is the Wemo Stage. This can have like 9 different programs, single, double, and triple tap, and it has thread, but for some reason the battery life has always been really bad for me on this, even in a room with a bunch of other thread devices right near my HomePods that have thread. So I'm not sure what the deal is with this. I actually don't use it anymore. So I know some people have a great experience with this. For me, it's a 2.5, 3-star button. All right, here in the garage, I have the G2H Aqara, which actually acts as an Aqara hub, uses HomeKit Secure Video, doesn't have a lot of the newer features, no thread, but even through the garage, which is a cinder block wall, it does pretty good. I'm gonna give the Aqara G2H 3.5 out of 5 stars. But the real MVP of the garage is the Meross garage door opener with HomeKit. It's above my motor right there. It's about $50. I've had it for several years. I actually used it even before we moved into this house. It is Wi-Fi only, no thread, which is unfortunate, but never had a connectivity issue. And I would remember because I would have to get on a ladder and reset that thing if there were ever issues. Even over Wi-Fi, it is super solid. So the Meross garage door opener, I give 4 out of 5, maybe even 4.5 out of 5. It'd be great if I had thread, but it works great and responds really quick. All right, I saved this one for last because I didn't want to put them on blast. A rhyme unintended. But the Aqara U100 lock. This thing gets really promoted a lot. I did a whole video on it. I had a good experience when I first installed it, but there's been 2 glaring issues. One is battery life. Now, I have my Yale Assure lock. I tried other smart locks, lots of devices, but for some reason, the battery life on this thing is pretty atrocious. I'm talking 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month at most, and I have to replace the 4 AA batteries in this lock. So I don't know if it's just the position, but again, like I have HomePods and stuff right on the other sides of these walls. It has Wi-Fi. Like I'm not sure what the deal is. I tried it connected to the Aqara hub, just using it with HomeKit. Both ways, the battery life is just really bad for my experience. Not everyone has that experience, but it's been bad for me. And also it does some weird things sometimes like auto locking, where if the door closes, it'll just auto lock the door. And I don't have that set in the Aqara app. There's no real setting for that in the HomeKit app. And sometimes it'll just do that. And I'm not sure why. It was a little bit of an issue sometimes because the kids might close the door behind them, go play outside, and it'd be locked when they come back. And if they don't have a device to unlock it, and their fingerprint's not working, like it can be awkward. So again, I know this is just my experience, not everybody's, but the Aqara U100 is not for me. I would not recommend it at this stage. Again, some people it's great. I'm gonna leave my initial review up because it is feature packed. It is the most affordable home key smart lock. And if you don't have that weird auto locking issue and the battery life is okay in your setup, then it might be a great lock. But for me, this thing is like a 1 out of 5. I actually disconnected it from my home and it's not even active right now. It's not a smart lock, it's just a dumb lock. So that's rating most of my smart home devices here in my 100% Apple HomeKit home. If you have any questions about any of the devices, leave comments below this video. I'll answer them there. I actually have a link to my webpage which lists every device in my smart home, including light switches, smart plugs, thermostats, vacuums, all of that. You can find that link down in the video description, and I'll put some of my favorite device-specific links down there as well. Also, if you want to see the entire tour of my home and some of the automations that I have with these HomeKit devices, I'll put one of those videos right up here. And if you want to learn more about shortcuts, if you're in automations and such, I'll put one of those videos right over here. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.